The 6-decade-old Canadian wheat board monopoly is yesterday's solution to yesterday's problems. The fact is, today's farmers are entrepreneurs. They're proving over and over again that they can and will do better if they have control over their farm and over their own business bottom line. For the grain industry, this means a choice in how they market their grain. It means a choice in when they sell their crop. It means a choice in who they sell their crop to, a choice in what price they sell their grain for, and ultimately, a choice between working through a voluntary wheat board or directly on the open market.
Sound a requiem for the monopoly of the Canadian wheat board. Finally, Western Canada's wheat and barley farmers will be able to sell to whomever they like. Freedom! Seems like such a simple right when you say it out loud, doesn't it? But there are plenty of farmers who still prefer being shackled. So much easier than deciding for yourself, isn't it? Rolf Penner is a third-generation farmer from Morris, Manitoba, and vice president of the Western Canadian Wheat Growers Association. He joins us in studio here in Winnipeg. Welcome, Rolf.
Hello.
Is shackled too tough a term, or is, I mean, I'm not saying that the folks who are into the old system, the status quo, see it as being shackled. They see it as security. People like yourself see those security markers as shackles.
Yeah, absolutely we do. And it's been quite evident for a long time. You know, economically, it's this wet blanket across all of Western Canada. It affects farmers' incomes, but it affects, you know, what goes on in the rural economy, small towns, value-added processing. It's very restrictive. And I mean, shackles is certainly a fair explanation. There are many farmers, some of whom I know personally, that have gone to jail for the act of trying to sell their own wheat.
When you talk about value added, that's something that interests me, because I like to see as much value adding to anything that we've got going on in the country, whether it's manufacturing, agriculture, the energy sector, what have you. We need more refineries for energy. A lot of people don't want refineries in their backyard. We need more value added agricultural products. Give me some examples of what could be happening in Western Canada where value is added to the crops so they don't have to be sent south.
There's all sorts of examples of things that can be done. There was a great example, I believe it was last week or possibly the week before, where there was an announcement in Saskatchewan of a new pasta plant, something that hasn't happened in a long, long time. There's a company that's willing to invest, and it's a local Canadian company of all things, willing to put $50 million into turning durum wheat into pasta. And there's all sorts of room for more pasta plants. We've got all sorts of pasta plants in North Dakota. There's no reason why they can't be in Canada. Malting barley is another great one. I mean, this is one of the things that a lot of people have talked about, that Canada, Western Canada, really could be the malting capital of North America if we can free this thing up to the point where maltsters can actually buy the product from farmers. And this is really the crux of the problem, is we've got this wheat board, this monopoly, that's getting in between willing buyers and willing sellers, consenting adults, if you will.
Sure.
And you know, whether it's the pasta plants, whether it's flour mills, whether it's malting, and you know, bakeries, you name it. There's all sorts of room for value-added processing. And to put it all into perspective, I mean, a real Canadian success story has been the crop canola. And the acreage of canola has been growing by leaps and bounds over the last 10 years. But so has the processing. Pretty much half the canola that's grown in Western Canada gets processed in Canada. That's huge. Now, when we compare that to board crops, you're lucky if you can get to 10% with some of them of processing, and not just processing in Western Canada, that's processed across the country. So anytime we can add value and process something closer to home, it's better for everybody. I personally get paid far more when I ship my canola to a value-added processor than I do to the local elevator for export. So it's very good for farmers, it's very good for communities.
The legislation, first reading tomorrow. It ends the wheat board monopoly. In 30 seconds or less, will the wheat board still be in business 5 years from today?
It should be. It has a chance to continue. It has a chance to compete. And there's no reason why it can't. It will be different, yes, but there's no reason why it shouldn't be around in 5 years.
Do you believe that farmers 5 years from now will still be wanting to use the wheat board to sell their stuff?
Some farmers will. It won't be, they won't be handling the kind of tonnage that they are today, but there are farmers that I believe would love to use a voluntary wheat board.
Rolf Penner, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Rolf Penner was one of those who championed the change. He is tonight's champion. The Great Pyramid took 20 years.